Today, I'm going to be ranking every movie that Andy Samberg has been in. Technically, I'm not going to be doing every movie. I'm not going to include movies in which Andy only has a cameo or a role that's incredibly minimal or unimportant to the plot of the film. I'm also not going to include the animated films he's been in because I really just don't want to watch Space Chimps. I'm going to be ranking these films from worst to best, and I'm going to be doing each review in two parts. The first part being my opinion of the film as a whole, and the second part being my opinion of Andy's performance itself. Without further ado, let's start! This movie sucks. This movie is so bad. It's so boring, it's unoriginal, and I genuinely couldn't even finish it. I gave up halfway through. The plot was uninteresting, the jokes were unfunny, and the editing was abysmal. Even as I'm writing the script, like the day after watching it, I can barely remember anything about it aside from how much it sucked. They'd repeat the same scene over and over again, and that's not even me just complaining that some scenes were similar to one another. They would go back and forth in the timeline and would replay scenes that the audience had already seen several times to reiterate what time it was. They had so many genuinely talented actors in it for no reason. Why was Fred Armisen in this? Why was Tony Revolori in this? And why was Andy Samberg in this? Andy's character and performance was fine. I don't know, he did well for what he was given. He made a good douchebag. This isn't a dig at Andy, but this movie is so bad and I have no clue why he was in it. Again, not a good movie in my opinion. Unlike the last one though, at least some parts of it were funny, kind of, and it at least had a contingent plot. And look, I'll say it, I'm just really not a fan of Adam Sandler. I got nothing against the guy, I think he can be a good actor when he tries to, but 90% of his movies are just not my type of comedy, and this movie wasn't an exception. Andy did fine in this. It's another thing where I think he did fine with what he was given. The movie isn't great and neither is his character, but he did okay given the circumstances. This movie's fine. It was fun to watch once and I'll probably never think about it again. I love Paul Rudd, I like Jason Segel. The concept's kinda cool, like a platonic rom-com, and it was well executed, I guess. It was funny enough when it tried to be, and it was really just okay. It was good, but really just not exceptional in any way. Andy was barely in this movie. I think he spoke in like 1.5 scenes. I can barely talk about his performance because there wasn't much to it. He did fine. I keep saying that, but I promise I'll talk more about him when we get to the movies I like. I like this movie. I think it's a really interesting, unconventional rom-com. I'm not going to do any spoilers because I think you should go watch this if you haven't, but the situation that these characters are put in is incredibly difficult and incredibly heartbreaking, and it really could not have ended any other way. I think Rashida Jones gives a great performance, I thought the story was great, and I want that to be known before I tear into it in this next little bit. A lot of the dialogue early on in this film was kind of unnatural. I don't want to blame this part on the actors because it kind of seemed like it was caused by a lack of direction. As the film progressed, however, I found this issue became a lot less abundant. Another thing that I disliked very much was everything about Elijah Wood's character. I understand the intent was to mock the token gay character in movies, but it really just didn't pull it off. It just came off as kind of offensive. This character's only personality trait was being gay, and he felt like an accessory to Celeste rather than an actual character of his own. This was the first serious acting role that I'd seen Andy Samberg in, and I think he did a great job. Every non-comedy film I've seen him act in, he's given great performances. He portrayed this character really well, and I enjoyed his performance. This concept is so weird. It's a tennis mockumentary about a 7-day-long match involving murder by tennis ball and on-court intercourse. The jokes were hilarious most of the time, and really my only complaint is that it relied too heavily on nudity for comedic effect. And look, I'm here to say haha penis as much as the next teenager, but I do think it was a little bit overdone in this movie. Andy was great in this, obviously, he's great in dramatic roles, but it's obvious that comedic roles are where he's most comfortable and where he shines. He portrayed this insane character very well and was hilarious in doing so. Again, just for the concept alone, this film had to be interesting, so a great performance from Andy Samberg made it just that much better. I'm probably gonna get some crap for having this so low, but hey, I think Palm Springs is a great movie. The funny parts are hilarious, the dramatic parts are heart-wrenching, and really everything about this movie is so well done. It's shot beautifully, the plot, while not the most original in the world, is interesting and a good take on the Groundhog Day-esque genre. The characters are super interesting and well developed. Both Andy Samberg and Kristen Milioti give great performances. There's a comfortable warmth to this film as well. Something about the way it's shot, the lighting at certain points, and the story itself is just incredibly comforting. It's a great little love story, and I really like this movie. This is definitely my favorite dramatic acting performance I've seen from Andy Samberg. He portrayed this character so well, and I really hope to see him in more serious acting roles because he's great. You had to know this was going to be in the top 3. I don't know how a person couldn't love this movie. This movie is so stupid, and that's undeniable, but where some films overdo the stupidity, this movie has the perfect amount of dumbassery. I love this movie. It's a very comforting film. It's stupid, it's hilarious, and it's just an all-around good, fun movie. I love Bill Hader, and I think he's great in this movie. His character is so funny. There's not much I can really even say about this movie that a million other people who watched it before me haven't already said, so I'll just say that I love it, and it's definitely a comfort film for me. Andy's great in this. I mean, come on. This was his first major acting role and he nails it. His chemistry with the other actors, many of them being fellow SNL cast members or writers, is great. I love his relationship with Jorma Taccone's character. He's hilarious in this, and God, I really just love this stupid little movie. I really debated putting this film on this list because of how minimal Andy Samberg's role in it, but I love it so much that I had to include it just so I could talk about it. This movie feels like comfort. It feels like a warm hug. It feels like sitting around a campfire with loved ones. Everything about this film radiates comfort. This is a film that reassures me that I'm making the right choice in pursuing filmmaking. This is a film that makes me want to make films. The concept is so interesting and original, and James is such a fun character. And really, one of my only complaints about this film is that I wish his character had been more fleshed out. This movie is great. I really hope to see more films from Kyle Mooney because this film is incredible. This is going to be a short bit. Andy was in this for like 2 scenes, but hey, he was good in them. Popstar Never Stop, Never Stopping is one of my favorite films of all time. It's so stupidly funny. I love this movie so much. Not only is it hilarious, but the songs are genuinely, like, good. I unironically listen to the Bin Laden song. Every song in this movie is hilarious and well made. The Lonely Island are just so good at making stupid songs sound so great. I hate to say it again, but this movie is so comforting. The whole thing is just the Lonely Island's ode to friendship, and I love it so much. I've seen this movie probably 20 times. I own it on DVD. That's how much I like it that I bought a DVD in 2021 just to watch the director's commentary. This movie is incredible, and I could talk about it for hours, and I just can't praise it enough. Andy's great in this. Obviously, anything he makes with The Lonely Island is incredible. When he and his friends are the ones writing, it's some of the best stuff he makes. He's an incredible comedian, and his performance in this film is so ridiculous and hilarious, and oh my god, I love this movie! Alright, there we go. That's my ranking of every Andy Samberg movie, kind of. I'd love to hear your opinion, so if you want to share it, please comment. I'd love to hear it. This video was a lot of fun to make, and I got to watch a lot of movies that I probably otherwise wouldn't have. I don't think I would have watched Brigsby Bear if I hadn't seen it on Andy Samberg's Wikipedia page doing research for this. So thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.